Hey Mark, it's Dion here. Thanks for trusting us with Racers 360 with your coaching. Excited to be working with you. Got a lot of great things to work on. I'm going to really highlight three main areas for us to improve. One, and most importantly, we're going to highlight the long or the lengthy amount of time spent where we're not accelerating and we're not braking, especially as we approach brake zones. Number two is going to be a little bit about your eyes, not getting your eyes up enough at corner exits to start unwinding the steering wheel. And then we have a lot of very early apexes that we need to clean up a little bit. So those are the three areas that we're going to attack. So the first thing is I want you to really concentrate on maximizing time spent at full throttle. So you'll see at a lot of brake zones, we lift really early and we're off the throttle, and we're off the throttle for a long period before we brake. Now, that's often caused by kind of not knowing where to brake or being intimidated by a late brake zone. I would much rather see you carry that full throttle a little bit longer, but brake earlier. So what we want to clean up is this kind of like on and off throttle or really long coast periods. And turn one here is a great example of that. So you can see right here at start finish line, we're at half throttle or even maybe a little bit less because our sensor's a little bit off here. And we're off the throttle, and then we're back on the throttle, and then we're off the throttle, and then we only start to brake off. Like that's our initial brake. This is actually where we're braking. See how much time just in this one corner that we were not really accelerating, we're not braking, we're not using the car. Any time that we're kind of below, let me just back this up a little bit here. Right now we're 0.2 G. Like I want to see you. There's a lot of time spent where if we're going to use your G meter here, where that little green dot is really close to the center. Driving a car on a racetrack should be violent. So what I'd rather see you do is carry that full throttle to, let's say, now, and then back your brake zone up. You're going to maybe go slower initially, but you're going to be driving the car a more appropriate way. And now, because you're kind of off the throttle, and then you get back to it, and then we brake, the weight transfer of the car is almost like it doesn't know what's happening, and you're not optimizing the level of grip. Cars want to be either accelerating hard or braking hard. We don't really want to be lifting and coasting for long periods of times, especially approaching a brake zone. So let's take a focus away from really late braking, and let's keep the focus on full throttle, brake. Not full throttle, off, wait, brake. That's going to be the number one thing that we're going to work on here. So once we get that cleaned up, we can start to clean up the rest of the corner. Notice how you're able to hold this inside all the way through, and kind of like one really long apex. And because of that, we can't really get back to full throttle until we're at the exit curve. This is a corner going this way around this racetrack, actually both ways, where I want to treat more like a double apex. So eventually, you'll be full throttle, you'll be braking, you'll be coming off the brakes, so have enough speed to where the car takes you wider, and then you'll be coming back so that you'll have a car angle looking much more in that direction, where you sort of more have a car angle looking this direction because you're able to hold the inside in your apex too early. So that's going to be kind of the next thing that we work on. For right now, it's just going to be about no coasting to the brake zones. As you start to fix that, you'll want to roll in more entry speed. The car is going to take you a little bit wider in the middle of the corner. So where you're able to hold this curve, where your right side tires are probably closer to where my left side tires are. So I'm not all the way out wide. I'd like to see you about a car with wider, bring the car back, apex here, then you'll be back to full throttle already versus full throttle out over here. So in the next corner, we just apex a little bit too early. But once again, let's highlight how early you're releasing off of full throttle. So we're off of full throttle here, and we're only braking here. See how long that coast was? You're actually braking pretty deep. You might start braking back in this area. But so I'd rather see you brake here and carry full throttle to this point rather than lifting off. So again, really focused on that. It's going to come up almost every corner. Here we just turned in a little bit too aggressively, and we apex too early. So we're apexing here. I'd rather see you apex where that cone is, or actually probably more in this area. I think that cone's slightly late. But because you apex too early, I can see you're having to add steering input at the end of the corner. So anytime you're you've passed the apex and you have to add steering on a corner like this, you've probably apex too early. So we really want to be unwinding the steering wheel now, and I want to be back to full throttle here. But because you apex too early, you're a little bit delayed and you have to add steering input. Let's go take a look at the next corner here. Again, long coast period. You're actually braking after the turning point. Carry that full throttle, full throttle, full throttle. You know, I can't tell you exactly where the brake zone is in your car, but full throttle to here maybe. Brake light, wait, go, 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 go. Another corner here where you sacrifice a little bit. You're not using all of the track here on exit. Get your eyes up. Use every inch of the road. There's no point to hold the car right here to set up for this next banking or the bowl. Use all the road. Maximize your drive out of here. Get back to full throttle. You got a lot of time to get all the way back to the right side of the road. So there's no point to be sacrificing here because you can use all that track, get back to full throttle, and easily make it back here. Into the bowl, I'd like to see a slightly earlier turn in, and you could attack it a little bit more. There's a lot of banking here. There's a lot of grip that you're not taking advantage of. So just here, slowly work up to it, but there's more available. Once again, let's say how you're already lifting, and then we're only braking here. That's worth a lot of time. Carry that full throttle. Back up your brake zone a little bit. You're not going to be able to brake at the same point if you hold that full throttle, but really important to hold that full throttle. Let's get rid of all of this coasting into brake zones, attack the entry a little bit more, and then we can get rid of, we spend a lot of time on maintenance throttle here. I'd rather see you try to attack it, roll more speed on entry, let the car roll, and then boom, get back to full throttle here. All righty. Once again, look how we're lifting and then only braking here. Again, really long lift. So we got to get rid of that. Let's take a look in here. A little bit earlier of an apex here. So this is a corner where we do want to sacrifice a little bit to the right to set up for this next left-hander. It's really important to try to get back to full throttle as early as possible. So this is a corner where if you want to hold it slightly right, we're trying to stay off the throttle. And this is going to be if there's like, we're working on step one stuff here, the lifting, the early apexes. Step two is going to be a little bit more in our brake zones. The eventual thing that we're going to be working on is I actually want to see you trail brake much deeper into corners. We're not there yet. That's going to be the process that we're going to work on to get you there. But eventually, this will be your initial throttle spot, off, and then back to full throttle here. So talking about corner exits, you eventually get out and use all the road. But notice how you're only getting out there after the exit curve. So, right, what that means is like right now, I want to be out in parallel with that exit curve pretty much. So you're keeping more steering input in the car than I'd like to see you do, which is preventing you from rolling more speed, preventing you a lot of times from getting back to full throttle. So your eyes are slightly too low. What I really want you to focus in on here on a corner like this is you should be looking for the exit curve already. I want you to ask yourself, how early can I start to unwind the steering wheel? So boom, start to unwind, start to unwind. Say you're still holding this curve. The car should be a half car width wider, almost a full car width wider, and then much wider. So you're binding the car up more than it needs to. So it's almost like for you, the track ends right here. But for me, I've got an extra car width of road. So I can roll more speed and I can get back to full throttle. So it's easy time. Really make sure you're starting to unwind that steering wheel, use all the track on exit. Once again, really important. Look how we're lifting. Well, that was a really short lift. And then look how long we're lifting into this brake. So we have a short lift here for no apparent reason. We get back to full throttle. And then we're lifting here. And then we're only braking there. See how long that lift was? So once again, full throttle, full throttle, full throttle, full throttle, and then maybe you're braking at the 3-board. I mean, you will have to back it up, but you're going to be benefiting way more by keeping that full throttle. All righty. There we go. Through here, we look pretty solid for right now. A little bit early of an apex, that's fine. Long coast, go, 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 go. Through this whole section, I'm pretty happy. Let's go, commit back to full throttle. Nice job using all the track on exit here. Let's highlight this again. Lifting, braking. That's almost exclusion, like that, almost to an exclusion. That's what I want you to focus on initially. A little bit your eyes here and there will help. Those early apexes we can get rid of. But you can see how long that lift is, how long that coast is. We've got to fix that first. In this next section, in the middle of the corner here, what I want you to focus on, sorry, again, another, let's just highlight here, another lift, lifting, braking. Again, full throttle deeper. In here, what I want you to focus in on is right now, commit a little bit more aggressive to throttle. This is going to test your eyes, but it's a great thing to build in foundation. You should be looking for this kind of, there's a curve here in the middle before we turn back in. I want you using every inch of the road in between these two apexes. Instead, what you're going to see is you hold the car more middle of the road, and then you kind of have a later, more aggressive turning point. By using more track, you're going to be able to get more aggressive to throttle, and then that's going to also set you up for a better radius, a slower turn. And anytime you turn it in slower, it's important in high-speed corners because it lets you roll more speed. So what's really important is get your eyes up in here, and then use the track. So right now, you're binding the car up. You're turning more than it has to. Look how much road you got out to your left. So there's two negatives here. One is when you're turning, the more aggressive you turn, the slower you have to go, right? You're asking for more of the tires laterally, so you can't get to the longitudinal acceleration. The next thing is you're making the radius of this next corner tighter than it needs to be. So it's hurting you down, and it's going to hurt you on this exit here. So get your hands, like unwind your hands, use this track on exit. You'll be turning it a little bit earlier, but notice here how you drive it straight and then you turn more aggressively. We're going to end up in almost the exact same trajectory here, but I've gotten back to flat. I've used more track, and I've turned it a little bit less aggressively, so I'm faster all the way through here. And then boom, I'm back to initial throttle only here. Once again, our eyes are too low on exit. See how we're holding this apex curve, I would be out in parallel with this exit curve right now. See how much road you got out to your left that you're not using? Get those eyes up, use every inch of the road. You eventually get out there, but you're already even past the exit curve by the time you get out there. Eyes up, unwind the steering wheel. Again, long lift into the brake zone. Coming in here. Actually, this corner I was pretty happy with. All looks good. A little bit early of an apex. Not a big concentration. In the traditional clockwise turn 2, I don't even know what number it is counterclockwise. This is a corner, what our priority in this corner is to get back to full throttle as early as possible. You've apexed really early, and because of that, you can't unwind the steering wheel. And then because of that, we don't get back to full throttle until out over here. And even then, if you were to try to roll more entry speed, you couldn't get back to full throttle at this point. If you were at the limit of the car, you would be really delaying it. So work on turning a little bit slower here. And then right now is my apex point. If you can apex that much later, you'll have a car angle looking much more in this direction. So you should be able to get back to full throttle now. So notice that I didn't say turn later. I turned slower. Slow your hands down. It's going to help you in a lot of turn-ins, especially as we start to work together and get you further down the road. Especially when we start to talk about trail braking and all that once we clean up things we're working on right now. So really what I want you focusing on is, more than anything else, holding that full throttle. See how you're already lifting here once again? Hold that full throttle. We'll back up our brake zones, but no long lifts into brake zones. That's what, if you could just focus on that, fix that for right now, will be a nice chunk of lap time forward once you figure out your new brake zones and work your way back up to the limit of the car. And then from there, we've got a good foundation to build off of. So hope that makes sense. As always, if you got any questions, please reach out to us. We're always here for you. Thanks again for using Racers 360. Excited to be working with you, and excited to see the next kind of step forward in your driving and continue to work together.